Well started there. Sonic
Javier knowing that I didn't need to spend anything.
Go for an up block there. Doesn't get caught.
Eating, this is the
Here it
situation
is.
that you don't want to be in here. Stay go for any kind of combo afterwards or any bombs on the ground. Bombs already. Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's getting sucked! No! Go off.
Cyrax wins.
So the balance of MK1 is in a great place right now.
And only position into Final Combat from this region directly.
A little bit more bar going into this final round. So hard.
Trap out, he's able to block.
Not bad, but like
He'll be able to get the punishment.
T1000 wins.
Sorry, that was a complete lie. To be honest, the game is on the right track, but we're kinda swerving all over the place and the check engine light is on. As you can see, there are still some very obvious changes that can be made for the betterment of the game. Recently, Ed Boon asked on Twitter, which 4 characters still need the most love? Spoiler alert, more than 4 characters need changes. So, the community has been in political campaign mode for their respective mains, me included. And I've seen many great suggestions for potential buffs. So, in this video, I'd like to go through several changes and buffs that I think would shore up some of the weaker or underutilized aspects of many characters, especially if this ends up being our final balance patch. As usual, there will be a smoke rant at the end, so stick around for that. I'm BRINKS, and welcome to my potential final balance patch wishlist for MK1. So, my interest isn't in just directly making characters better or worse. Not every low tier character deserves buffs, and not every top tier deserves nerfs. I am way more interested in tweaking characters such that their strengths and weaknesses are fair, and that they don't have any glaring flaws in their kit that go against their archetype. I play Greninja in Smash Ultimate, who is generally considered a high tier but not even remotely top tier character. In a game with 89 playable characters, that means there's like 25-30 characters that are more viable than he is. But he does everything that I want him to do and makes sense for him to do and be good at. So if given the chance to buff him, I wouldn't change anything. I cannot say the same for Smoke, however, as you'll see towards the end of the video. My personal balance philosophy for this game, and most of the changes that I'm going to propose, is that every move should have some kind of unique purpose, regardless of how good that character might be, and the risk of using a move should almost never be higher than the reward for landing it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. That was super sick. And that takes BRINKS to set. Yeah.
For some quick Mortal Kombat examples, Ermac has 2 mids, back 2 and back 3. Back 2 leads to combos and is safe. Back 3 is slower than back 2, has similar range, cannot be special cancelled, and is punishable on a flawless block. Therefore, back 3 is always worse than back 2 in every situation, and should be changed. And I don't care that he's generally considered a top tier. This is a stupid design. When the game launched, Reptile's uncharged back 2, which only leads to a knockdown, was punishable on block. It was like minus double digits, and it got rightfully changed to be safe. Low reward, but low risk. W. Now, a lot of characters might need some slight frame changes or hitbox adjustments, but as I'm not an expert with the entire roster, there are some of these that I won't be aware of. So tell me in the comments if your main needs some bug fixes or better frames on certain moves.
Sub-Zero wins.
Let's get into it, starting with Rain. So Rain has some solid tools and is far from the worst character in the game, but you don't see him using his portals much, except for frame advantage or meter build in some situations. Like, when's the last time you saw him use this move? In the trailer that first revealed his gameplay, you see him using an EX portal and teleporting to it. He can't actually do that in the game. Why? So I think they should rework his portals a bit. I feel like there should be incentive for Rain to end combos and portals for setup, rather than almost always going for damage or a whirlpool reset. I'm not a Rain player, but having the portals last longer, maybe 15 to 20 seconds, they last 10 seconds as it is, and making the EX beam a meterless input with a crumple reaction or maybe a higher launch hit reaction so it's easier to combo from, while also giving him a new EX portal, like in the trailer, that has him create and then automatically teleport to it. Could be sick. As for the rest of his kit, his EX water beam should cause a crumple just like the charged regular version. I don't know why you would ever spend meter on a 34 frame high projectile that only knocks away on hit, which is how it is currently. I also don't think I would hate if all of his projectiles got a few frames faster on startup. Dude is a pretty sluggish character.
Zoning tools. I mean, some might even call him a premier zoner.
And on that note, probably deserves a bit longer forward dash range too. Otherwise, his signature roundhouse, his stand 4, seems pretty shit too. Specifically, I don't really know what the uncharged version is meant for, other than to end the combo with a side switch. I'd make the uncharged version allow follow-ups, just like the charged version, and just increase the base damage of the charged version, I guess. Next up, let's talk about Omni-Man. I don't know a ton about him, so my proposed changes will be simple. Make his stance a bit stronger. First off, when he stands parries a projectile, he should get a bit of meter to make it more rewarding to go for on purpose, since it's not like he can parry projectiles and then cancel into one of his slow-ass stance options to punish. Next up, I used to think his stance 1 should be a command grab, as it's kinda weird to me that the dickheads in Spirit Halloween costumes are full-on grapplers in this game, but the fucking battle-hardened Viltrumite warrior with super strength didn't put any points into grappling on his stat sheet. But it might be too brain dead, and there are already a lot of drooling caveman grapplers in this game, so to compromise, I think if they just made the throw portion of his forward 4-1 grab string come out on block and be an actual throw rather than an air grab, it would be a neat change and you would see that string a lot more, as you don't see that part of it ever now because it's worthless in combos. So I think this change would at least catch people that tried to press after a forward 4-1. Otherwise, to reference Deadly Rebels buffs wishlist, a top Omni-Man player with some pretty reasonable suggestions, any of these could be cool. In particular, forward 2 being safe seems very reasonable, as it is a reactable overhead that only combos with cameos or the corner, and a side switch is up close. And also, having the stance cancel allow him to fall with air moves could give him some neat mind games in his pressure, as he could cancel into stance, then cancel the stance to fall with a jump punch and continue bullying you until you press at the wrong times. Omni-Man players, feel free to comment your thoughts on a buff like this, as I'm not super familiar with him to really see the full extent of how all these changes would affect him, so let me know. Next, Li Mei probably needs some frame adjustments, but I think she also should have something done to her lanterns. It would be neat to see her have some more setups into them, such as a strike throw mix maybe, kinda how Takeda can launch from his throw if he has kunais deployed. Shout out to Alto for that suggestion. Maybe even give her an EX lantern input that has her create multiple lanterns, or ones at varying heights or with different tracking that follow her or whatever. She deserves a cool new move of some kind, where she uses more of the sick flashy effects that she can create, which you see in her throw and fatal blow. I don't think she does enough of these. And also, her EX fireball is still a high, despite the fact that most EX projectiles in this game become a mid, so I would probably change that to a mid. For Tanya, I would start by reverting the frame nerf to her forward 2. The worst thing about her was the armored nonsense, but everything else I feel like was an over nerf. And maybe if they make her forward 2 plus, to benefit her role as a weird pressure character, that could be fine. Otherwise, I feel like she needs more sauce. I think she's on the cusp of being this sick-ass character with the install and parries giving her unique pressure, but I think she needs an extra move or two in favor of this. Something to make her scary when she has max guidance and is in your face. If she had extensions on her strings when she's juiced up, that could be sick, because her strings are pretty simple and she does not have many. But I also wonder if her dodge should only cost 1 charge, or the max charge should be increased from 2 to 3, or even both, depending on how strong all of her options from it would be. Such as, if her dodge could be done straight up or forward as well, that could give her some wild but unique pressure options, and when combined with her parry and the EX dodge, would all force you to have to be careful choosing to mash out of her pressure as she's blinking all over you once she's got full guidance. And as she's not a high damage character, I see no reason that she can't have a meterless special launch just like most characters do. But I guess if 3 was her max charge, or if most actions only cost 1, such as her drill into blink, this would serve the same purpose. Although they should make the drill have the same gravity each time, because it sucks ass mid-combo, and she barely gets to extend with anything. And finally, I think her jump 1-2-4 bounce should be the same hit reaction as like a sub jump 1-2 or a T1000 jump 3-2, so that she can more easily get follow-ups anywhere and without it being affected by gravity scaling as much. Her damage still sucks ass, so this wouldn't be that crazy. Baraka needs a new move or string. Or even as True Underdog suggested, some way to apply bleed debuffs besides just 2 of his EX moves. Would be cool to see him more focused around stacking bleed debuffs on you and chipping you out, especially if he had to manage some kind of progression of his disease with some new resource or mechanic. But that might be too much of a change to ask for, given that NRS only seems to change 3 or 4 characters every 6 months. It just sucks that we've got many characters at this point with unique mechanics, and Baraka is still out here doing poke, special, into cameo loops. At the very least, his back 3-2, which is meant to catch you ducking his back 3-1, is death on block and leads to nothing. So I wouldn't mind if it were at least safe. Also, what the hell are any of the following moves for? Baraka mains, please tell me in the comments, because I don't see the vision with any of these. Sub-Zero is a very polarizing character, but he still has some pretty half-baked moves that I think need to be more fleshed out. So, Ice Ball is glacially slow, and the EX one is not better. I would make the EX one faster, and I'd make the EX Clone Punch go full screen at least, or fuck it, make it plus on block. There is barely a reason to use it currently. Also, his new move, Polar Palm, the charge should be cancelable or something. Currently, if you see him charging it, there is actually 0 reason for you to do anything but wait for him to let it go, as you get a punish whether he charges it or not. So there's no mind game. So I don't know why he's even able to charge it at all if he can't cancel it or doesn't get anything for landing the fully charged version. Now for a few rapid fire ones, before we get to my smoke rant. These will be shorter suggestions, but feel free to comment below any changes you'd like to see if you play any of these characters. Shang Tsung. I feel like his EX vials should be 1 bar. There are very few specials in the game strong enough to justify a 2 bar cost, and I don't believe this is one of them. Did you know Reiko has a spear and a knife? Never uses it in his actual gameplay. Kinda weird. Raiden. His overcharge should not go away on block. If Noob's Ghost Ball doesn't go away on Breaker, I don't know why overcharge disappears on block. His orb projectile should probably charge faster. Or if they gave him more ways to spend the overcharge even, or altered some of his move properties at different charge levels, that could be awesome too. Razzle Dazzle should do damage on hit. Why does this do 0 damage? And EX Teleport should be 1 bar. Again, what is this doing costing 2 bars? Quan Chi should have a 7-frame jab and a 7-frame down 1. These are aspects of MK frame data that I think should be universal. I'm also not sure that his tentacle launch costing 2 bars is justified, but Armor Portal is toxic, so I won't really lose sleep if it stays 2 bars. Gearus' down 1 is turbo trash. As mentioned with Quan, I don't think this should be a thing. Everyone's down 1 should be usable at baseline. The range is abysmal for Gearus. I don't think it should be like subs, but it would be easy to put a tiny little sand burst at the end of his hand to justify a range increase. He already does it with his down 4. Also, his forward 2 and forward 2-4 are negative on hit. Why? That should pretty much never be a thing ever. If Gearus gets a stray hit from either of these normals, it is not his turn. What an insane thing I just said. Alright, now I'll get hate for this one probably, but the hitbox on Noob's Teleport is horrible, especially vertically. Just increasing the hitbox at least to prevent all these weird whiffs, that would be great. Another controversial one. I think Ermac should recover a few frames faster on his ground pound, at least the meterless one, since it's insanely laggy as it is. It should still be super punishable on block, as he's not meant to be a zoner, but it has horrible recovery for a move with an only 6% knockdown. And while on the topic of good characters getting buffs, Scorpion is one of the most boring top tiers, which sucks considering he's a fucking teleporting fire ninja. So I want to see him do more cool fire stuff. Not walk back, twirl his dumb Kusarigama into throw Pharah for brain dead mix. There are so many flashy versions of him in MKX, and they could draw from anything. Give him a new move that can redefine his playstyle to be way more visually interesting and expressive. And on the topic of nerfs, I'm not an expert on a lot of the top tiers that confidently advocate for nerfs, and I'm much more interested in seeing other characters get more fleshed out. But I do know a bit about Havoc, and it's not controversial to say that he needs a bit of rebalancing. He kind of has everything between his huge damage, insane max health, ridiculous armor, huge mid, and super easy mix. So, Day 1 Havoc Master, Wise Gemini, has some pretty excellent suggestions that would both tone him down, while also changing him from an easy mixed juggernaut to a more unique, wacky character as he used to be. I don't have much to add, as I think these are all great changes. I don't want to advocate for nerfs on characters that I know way less about, so tell me in the comments if you have any reasonable suggestions for toning down someone like, I don't know, Homelander or Cyrax or any other top tier that you think are unfair or bad for the game. Otherwise, it's time to talk about my boy, Smoke. So I will probably make a longer rant video on the topic, but for now I will keep it relatively simple. My biggest issue with Smoke is his cancel pressure. Every single cancel loses to down 1, which you can press on reaction to the cancel animation, and beat almost anything Smoke does. His only recourse, if he knows with 1000% certainty that you're going to down 1, is to block or let the full Vicious Vapors rip. The first option means that you are doing a string in your own pressure during your own turn, and then giving up said turn to block. In your own fucking pressure, you are better off just giving up your turn because you have no way to enforce anything. All of Smoke's strings are highs or have gaps, so if you gave up your turn just to get a down 1 punish, any of the highs that you can jail into from your down 1 do not give you anything, and some of them have reactable armor gaps. So, not to mention, they don't even have to down 1, and can throw out one of their own pressure strings, and now you have given up your entire turn just waiting for them to down 1. Every option you can do is either a risky commitment during your own offense, or you give up your turn entirely. As for the second option, not canceling Vicious Favors, this is minus 16 on block and only does 7%, so high risk, low reward. Unless using a cameo to extend, which is decent, but you're still risking your life during your own pressure just to discourage people from disrespecting you. Now, I don't want our cancels to just be plus or anything crazy. I think they should be negative. I don't want brain dead pressure. What I want is to be rewarded for making the correct read that you want to mash, or with what you want to mash with. So, please, NetherRealm, give us Smoke Away, a back cancel. So, if you start mashing during my cancels, I can do a backward cancel and whiff punish you. Kenshi already has this. Dude fully teleports with his backdash. But Smoke, with his bum hips or something, cannot do that to avoid pokes after any of his strings on block, even when he is plus 5. He does not go far enough to avoid a poke. Wild. The other main thing that I want is a mid that cannot be armored. I was going to ask for a mid or a gapless string, but nah, fuck it. Noob gets an entire low and mid string that are gapless. So, I don't care. Give Smoke a version of this string from MKX. He doesn't do enough cool Smoke stuff as it is, and he needs a mid, so fix it. Also, please, for the love of everything, fix this stupid leapfrog bug and make his armor track better. Please. And make his back to low crush, or at least raise the hurt box up a little so he doesn't get anti-aired by complete accident all the time. It is 28 frames. Can I at least have it go over moves clearly underneath it? I will never complain about this character ever again if these changes are given, which won't happen. If you disagree with these Smoke changes, tell me why in the comments. I am always open to argue. And a system-wide change that I would like to see is kill all of the armored launchers. I think it's one of the worst parts of the game, being able to get full comboed during your own pressure because you have a gap in your string, especially when there are gaps that are fully reactable. There is no counterplay. You just don't finish your string and then it's the end of your turn. Oh, and one final thing. I love up blocking as a mechanic, but I think that it should only have the long timing. I feel like you shouldn't be able to do the short one. It's not committal enough for how strong of an option that it is. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, or if my suggestions were too insane, or anything you thought during the video. I'm always down for discussions. Otherwise, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you made it this far. You're all awesome. Later.
I love committing to that.